Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, episode number 15 for Wednesday, August the 27th, 2008. Hello everybody, welcome to Review a Day, the daily video blog where I review a movie 7 days a week. My name is Leland Brungart and thank you very much for joining me. I was looking over all the movies that I had reviewed so far, and I realized I'd only talked about one horror movie. I love horror movies and I didn't like The Signal, so I want to talk about one of my favorite directors and my favorite movie he's directed. One of my favorite horror directors is the Japanese movie director Takashi Miike. Takashi Miike is really well known for his horrifying and disgusting, brutally violent horror movies. His films are always challenging, they're always unique. He's almost impossible to kind of pigeonhole. He's directed so many different kinds of films. But he's really come to fame lately for his over-the-top violent films. His film Ichi the Killer, which came out in 2001, if you watch this movie, you see exactly where Quentin Tarantino got his inspiration for Kill Bill. The violence in this movie is fantastic. It's great. He also did another film called Visitor Q, which is disgusting, and it's not a horror movie per se, but the things that happen in this movie are just disturbing, and I don't recommend it, but at the same time I do. He also did a really interesting film called The Happiness of the Katakuris, which is a really strange family musical. It's very funny, and it's kind of a little gem that he's directed. I really like it. It's weird. It's probably not for everyone. He also did an episode of the Showtime series Masters of Horror. If you don't know what Masters of Horror is, it's basically a Showtime series where they got big name directors like John Carpenter. I think Rob Zombie did an episode, Takashi Miike. They get these horror directors to do short films and they direct them. They asked Takashi Miike to do an episode. He did a story called Imprint, and Showtime refused to air it. It's that violent and that horrifying. It's on DVD. I highly recommend it. It's disgusting. You have to know what you're getting in for when it comes to Takashi Miike, but if you don't and you like horror, if you liked Hostel or anything like that, I highly recommend it. But my favorite film he's directed is hands down a movie called Hostel. As I was sharing this review, I ended up saying that the name of the movie I'm reviewing is Hostel. That's not true. The name of the movie I'm reviewing is Audition. Hostel is about this kind of aging business guy in Japan, and his wife dies somehow, and he's left to take care of his son, and he's very lonely, very sad, and his friend sets him up where he kind of screen tests women for movies, but instead of screen testing them for movies, he's screen testing them for dates, and these women come in one after another, and he interviews them, really just to try to find one to ask out on dates. He finds a kind of strange girl. She's kind of sad at first, she's weird. And the more they get to know each other, the more he's falling for her. And unfortunately for him, she ends up being kind of a homicidal maniac. And in the end of this movie, she's torturing him, and it's horrifying. I'm giving you the layout of the movie. I'm not spoiling anything. You pretty much know going in that that's what's going to happen. But there's so much more to it. This film is brutal. It's disgusting. It is horrifying. It's one of the most violent movies I've ever seen. Violent in terms of gore, in terms of just disgusting noises that you hear going on throughout it. And the movie is completely sold by this woman he falls in love with. She's very captivating at first. She's mysterious, and at the end of the film, when she's torturing him, she's using razor wire, and it's making this horrifying noise as she's going through bone. But what's really scary about this scene is the look on her face. She has this complete look of glee and happiness on her face that stays with you. She is sadistic, and in the best way possible. It's horrifying. I like movies like Hostel, but I feel like Hostel is really just kind of a device used to explore new ways to torture people and to show gore. This movie, however, has a really well-crafted and kind of sad and beautiful narrative. A lot of people don't feel that way about this movie, but if you can make it through the gore, this movie is very sad. You kind of go into the psychopathic woman's history, and you kind of see the different hardships she's gone through and the different sad points in her life, and in no way do you feel sympathy for her, but at the same time, it's knowing that she's gone through all of this. It's sad that there was once a young, innocent girl within her. This movie gets compared to Vertigo quite a bit, actually, in terms of theme. One hand, I think it's very fair, and on the other hand, I don't. I think it's fair because they do deal with a lot of the same kind of ideas, kind of about loneliness and obsession and kind of the duality of people. And on the other hand, I don't think it's fair because Hitchcock's Hitchcock. No one will ever be Hitchcock. And Hitchcock never threw severed legs against sliding glass windows. That happens in the film, and this movie's great. This movie has a strange and unique narrative, like I've said. I've been on message boards, and a lot of people complain about the first kind of 30 to 40 minutes of this film because nothing really happens. I hear people bitch about how it's boring in the beginning. And I don't agree with that at all. I think this film opens up and it gives you such a great idea of who the main character is, this lonely man. You really grow to care for him, you like him. He's kind of a dick though, because he's screening women the way he is, but he's very sad. You can see how lonely he is. He's a good father to his son, and by the end of this movie, you really don't want to see him go through everything that you know is going to happen to him. That first 40 minutes, it's just you sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for this woman to snap, because you know it's going to happen. And by the time he calls her and there's a bag on the floor, you will jump out of your seat. The first time I saw this bag, it was over. It's so scary the first time you see it. I think it's just building tension. I do not believe that this beginning of this movie is boring. I love this movie, but a lot of people don't, and it's because this movie is so violent. I mean, it's disgusting violent. It's gag reflex violent. The things that are in this movie is not for everyone. If you like the idea of sitting down and watching a movie and just having them see how far they can push it, then by all means see this movie, because it's the best of the best, and I love it for that. If that's not what you're into, it's probably not for you. You know, maybe you should stick to a regular slasher film, but if you can sit through the violence, this is such a special film. I adore it. I give this movie a 4 out of 5. I give it a 4 out of 5 because I know this movie isn't for everyone. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Highly recommended. So, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are enjoying my reviews, please do and subscribe so I know that people are watching. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.